Okay, now that we're back, let's move on to the line graph and fixing and changing things within this particular window of the ArcMoco controller. We traveled to this area, of course, where we set our keyframes manually on the fly, using the Dragonframe keypad, and I showed you how to use this area, of course. Now we're going to, since we have our keyframes already set in here, we're going to mess around with this a little bit and have some fun. Of course, the first thing you should be aware of is, of course, we have our lines. They're going here, and they are labeled. So we have slider, pan, and tilt. If we want to turn one of these off, of course, we can turn them off so we can have better control over these things. So we have tilt selected. Now we turn them back all on. So let's first start with, we want the camera to go back to the zeroed position. Send the axis to its home. Boom. There we go. And we don't get anything here because we're not in the live view. There we go. Now we're in the live view. The same thing has to happen here with the other ones too. So we can click on these. Oh, what happened? Didn't take you to where you thought you might be going. All right, so here's the fun part. Let's go to our keyframe. So move the motors to the playhead frame. Let's do panhead. Boom. And it should be moving us back. And it is. Yay. All right. So what happened was we did not set this position at 0. And also you see our slider has this little button going as well. We can click that. And it's going to take us all the way back to here as well. What's going on is we haven't zeroed our camera. So you're going to get really confused really fast if you start pushing buttons and like, it's not doing what I say. Your playhead is always where you're working at. So if I drag my playhead all the way to here, and it's not updating the actual slider right now, it's updating through the preview window. So it's taking you to, hey, we're on such and such frame, blah, 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 blah. But then when you let go, boom, you're at that view. Now, if you go to your movie, you can actually slide through where the different positions were. So you have a reference going on. What we want to do now is we want to go to the keyframe. So I'm going to switch to my live view, which is this little camera up here. And I'm going to click on the little camera. So this will take it to the camera's beginning points. And we can do slider, pan, and tilt. And of course, it does it pretty fast. Moves it right to the right position. I'm going to click OK. Now underneath, let's say slider. Let's go to the slider here. And I'm going to solo this. I'm going to turn all these other guys off. Turn the pan off. Oops, sorry, I got the little camera on. Turn this camera off. Pan and tilt off. Now we have just the slider. And you see we just have this red line to control that. I'm going to go here and I'm going to set this to 0. I'm also going to set it to home. And I can do that with the rest of them too. Set to 0, set to home, set to 0, set to home. You might want to make some notes of what these numbers actually are, so that way when you're playing around with your controller and you accidentally didn't save things in a proper manner, like you have no idea where the frames were, and you turn your slider off. Let's say if we click on pan, see negative 92.781. If I were to zero this out back to its original position, it would go straight to 0. It wouldn't be at negative. So you might want to write that down somewhere. But for the most part, we're good. We're golden. Now I can turn these suckers back on if I want. And if I were to hit home, it's already at home. There's no worries. Okay, next. And let's turn these off again. We're just going to use the slider as the example. With the slider, since I'm in the keyframe area, if I click on this little keyframe here, I'm going to have these little controllers, Bezier curve controllers. If I click this, of course, it changes the arc motion. So it changes the line. And you see here, this is a speed ramp. So it controls the speed and then and decelerates the speed. Like my little sound effect I had there. And so anyway, we can control the actual movement and speed. Now, if I were just to leave this there, be like la-dee-dee, and have it play through, it will play that speed. It'll actually activate that speed. If I Apple Z, I can't get anything. So what we can do here is I can click this, and I can just bring it back to what the curve was originally. right? Now, what this thing here does is, let's say we want to add a keyframe in this area here, right? Let's go to our camera. This is the position that it's in. I want to add a keyframe. To add a keyframe for this particular one, it has to be selected, of course, whoops. And two, I have to click this little button here, set keyframe at current location. So if I click here, then guess what? That's not the location it was in, because we're looking in our camera view, we're not looking in our live view. So this is our recorded view. So if we go to our live view, this is the position that you actually set the keyframe at. If we want to undo that, we just Apple Z it. All right. Now what we want to do is we want to get the camera to this position. Now to do this, we can jog through. Jogs motor, of course. And to know where you are, this little red line here will actually, you want it to meet right in there. So we're gonna, whoops, let's go back to that position. I'll just keyframe 25 and select this sucker here. All right, and then so you see here we have the actual slider head is at 443.417. To set the keyframe, you click, boom, and now we have this one set up. So we actually have a keyframe here. If we want to adjust this keyframe, we can actually select any one of these. So you'll see here we have smooth keyframes, easing in, easing out, linear keyframes, easing out, blah, 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 blah. So if I click this now, it's not going to do anything, right? It's not going to do anything. If I click this one, not going to do anything. Nothing, nothing, nothing. So now if I click here, and I select these, and I clicked and dragged, there we go. Now we can actually control them. So we'll actually have a smoothing in and smoothing out. We'll have an easing in and easing out. So this will actually control the speed going in and out. And this is just a hard line, of course. So you have a consistent speed the whole way from beginning to end. And then, of course, this is you're controlling your ins and your outs. This one here particularly will be fun to play with, so you can have a better idea. Let's make a preview real quick, and then I can play it back for you. So we'll do 148. I'll hit OK. Slider position. It's going to take it to its original position. All right, so here we go. Hit OK, and be back in a second. Okay, so now that we're back, let's play back what we had just done. And there you go. There is the camera move, the really crazy camera move. And so you can see what I've just done. I'm actually going to render out a QuickTime movie real quick, just for the sheer fact that we're recording this tutorial at 15 frames per second, and the actual animation or the keyframes are on 24 frames per second. So let's click this, and we'll just H264. Let's make a size of, yeah, that'll work. I'll just, boom. All right. This, of course, you get this little window, and it pops up, and so there you go. We have camera moves in the Arc Moco controller. Okay, so now that we have this, if we have the keyframe, we want to delete it, we can just right-click it, hit delete. If we want to hit a add keyframes, we can go to add, right-click, add keyframes. Say frame 24. We want to make this 400. 400. Whoa, not 4,000. 400. Hit OK. On this, we can actually hit the little move the motors to the playhead frame. Click on this and click the slider. Boom. There we go. It moves the slider to the keyhead frame. Okay, we want to see what that looks like. There you go. That's what that actually looks like. If we want to send it to home, we're going to send it to home. Boom. It's going home. The live view up in the upper right-hand corner. And that pretty much covers the slider as it is. One thing to keep aware of, we can actually control the size here of, so if we want to get some more precise control, we can go deeper into it. But for the most part, this is the Arc Moco controller, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. We will be doing more fun stuff using this device in the future. And if you are definitely interested in the Ditogear equipment, please go to ditogear.com and say that we sent you, because they're an amazing company. They make some great product, and definitely worth having in your arsenal. So this is John Akuma signing out from Stop Motion Magazine, and keep animating.